I've recently switched from the Fire TV Stick 4K to Apple TV 4K, latest generation. And while I love the uncluttered interface and remote capabilities, we may talk about why I've made the switch sometime in the future, I quickly ran into an unexpected issue. My Wi-Fi speed was very low, in the household that should be pulling 350 megabits per second. For those of you who do not have time for the full video, the quick answer is never to connect to 2.4 gigahertz only networks. Only 5 gigahertz, as for reasons beyond my comprehension, Apple TV just doesn't like that 2.4 gigahertz. This is especially important for those of us with more complicated network setups than just ISP-provided router. Now, if you stuck around to learn the full story, here it is. I have a unified network with multiple SSIDs broadcasting 2.4 gigahertz signal, and a single SSID broadcasting both 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. This is done primarily to segregate my devices to specific VLANs and get some particularly old devices to connect properly. But that's beyond the remit of this video. Now, as usually do for anything that is not a smartphone, tablet, or laptop, I first connected Apple TV to one of the 2.4 gigahertz networks, only to find out a few days later, after some unexpected buffering issues with video playback, that the speed test shows 30 megabits per second. I thought, okay, maybe I need to choose a different 2.4 gigahertz network, as the access point for it may be a touch closer. On the first attempt, I was getting 70 plus megabits per second, which I felt was an okay situation. Fast forward a couple of days, and one of the evenings Apple TV wasn't just buffering, it was struggling to play anything. Speed test showed an incredible 1.2 megabits per second, at which point I decided enough was enough and switched it to the only 5 gigahertz network in the house. To my amusement, the speed immediately jumped up to 250 plus, and as you can see is still pulling solid triple digits. Now, if you've done your setup right, which is again beyond the remit of this video, Apple TV should still interact well with other devices on your overall network, even if they are connected to different SSIDs. In my example, I have two Sonos One SLS combined into a stereo pair that I use to AirPlay audio from the Apple TV. And even though they connected to one of those 2.4 gigahertz only networks, they are still perfectly visible, the Apple TV. And there you have it. A simple fix for an unexpected Apple TV problem. 5 gigahertz all the way, and no 2.4 gigahertz only networks. See you in the next one.